every moment both unique and important? Why should you live your life with a sense of urgency? How does that philosophy align with my original song, My Pure Motives? And when we focus on this song itself, why is our singer slash speaker slash protagonist slash hashtag Aaron Lincoln Smith slash me in this song so dang fragile and desperate anyway? Hashtag angsty. Why was 20-year-old me so darn angsty? And can you relate? And most importantly, is this song about a single late-night tryst, or the buxom burgeoning of a beckoningly baroque and bountiful love? Alliteration God mode activated. Proud English teacher moment there. Buxom burgeoning of a beckoningly baroque and bountiful love. Just saying that makes my lips go all tingly with a Pop Rocks and Soda level of intensity. You'll have to forgive me for bringing that nervous energy today and each and every day, as here on the Aaron Lincoln Smith podcast, I am fueled by copious amounts of coffee and the love of Jesus Christ. Answers to the aforementioned questions and more on this episode of the Aaron Lincoln Smith podcast after the first 30 seconds of My Pure Motives, which is available wherever you stream your music. So there's the girl at the party. Oh my God, she's right next to me. And I can barely breathe and barely see. And I recall just thinking, if this is a dream, don't wake me. And I'm so fragile, don't break me. Well, hopefully that little snippet of acoustic musical mayhem piqued your interest and prepared you to humbly partake of this conversational smorgasbord. For those of you that are new to the podcast, I am Aaron Lincoln Smith, and this is the podcast where I, your host, the one and only Aaron Lincoln Smith, guide you each month through a new original song that I record live from my basement and share on Spotify and YouTube or wherever you get your music. I then use this podcast to weave my way through the intricate tapestry of thoughts, feelings, emotions, aspirations, and the youthful or maybe even middle-aged angst of my music. Hashtag angsty. Angsty. Upon close reflection, I might be even more angsty as I gain life experience. Maybe I now realize how rare and unique certain things in life are, and I am even more concerned about them because I no longer take them for granted. This is the clarity that comes with age and why the President of the United States must be at least 35 years old. In my own personal life, in light of global events, I no longer take for granted the ability to travel to different areas of the world. In fall of 2003 to early 2004, I traveled to Japan as an exchange student. I lived there from 2006 to 2012 teaching English through the JET program, and I visited in the years 2005, 2013, 2014, and 2017. I was supposed to visit my family and friends there in 2020, and I am still waiting to get back. Neither will I take for granted the very rare and unique opportunities that have been a part of my life due to my experience with Japan, such as walking up the side of a graveyard on a mountain leading up to Kiyomizu-dera in Kyoto, Japan, surrounded by gravestones that were thousands of years old. Hontou sugoku kandou shimashita. In that moment, I was accompanied by my son, who was 7 years old at the time. As he complained at the toll the hike was taking on his young legs, I thought out loud as I scolded him for the entitlement of his youth. Do you even understand how special this is? This is only like the fourth time in my life I've ever been to Kyoto. How many times in the future do you think that you and I are going to be able to visit Kyoto together, my dude? When he stopped crying, it's okay. I bought him a matcha ice cream at the top of the mountain. I wondered when we could again saunter through the hand-carved tombstones of 500 generations of human beings that saw the rise and fall of empires, whose bones cry out from the ground, Carpe, Carpe, Carpe Diem, seize the day. Which is really quite disturbing if you think about it, because why would ancient Japanese know Latin? Am I right? This got the wheels in my head turning. How many more trips to Japan did I have left in my life? How many more adventures to Kyoto? It was then and there on that ancient, gilded, haunted mountainside that I realized that one day I will be on my last trip to Japan. One day will be my last journey to Kyoto. One kiss will be the last time that I kiss my wife. One embrace, our last embrace. One sunset will be the last sunset that I see on this earth. One morning will be the last time I wake up. One summer evening, the last to see the glow of the fireflies and feel the Kentucky humidity on the back of my neck. One last time to chuckle at someone's dirty joke. And one cup of coffee, my last organic Fairtrade Nitro cold brew. That makes every second, every morsel of life, both good and bad, the pleasure and the pain, the mundane and the divine, meaningful. My mother passed away of non-alcoholic liver disease in 2018. She was in hospice at our house, and one beautiful fall morning after days of rain, as she lay there in a coma, the curtains were drawn and the sunlight traced the outline of her face. She was no longer conscious, her eyes could no longer open, but I could sense the peace emanating from her presence. Her lips seemed to quiver and curve into her familiar smile. The last sunlight she could soak in overcame the buildup of toxins in her brain caused by her failing liver. The atmosphere was thick. I could see her cherishing her last living moments of sunlight. Since that day, in the morning when I step outside for work, as I walk to my car, I wonder what my mother wouldn't have given in that time at the end of her life for 5 more seconds of the sunlight's warmth upon her face. For 5 more seconds to feel and hear the rain. For 5 more seconds of the cold, damp winter Kentucky air to hug her lungs like a blanket. Or for 5 more seconds of the routine that we don't normally appreciate. Perhaps what she wouldn't have given to wait even 5 more seconds in stalled traffic, or 5 more seconds to feel the throb of a stubbed toe. When I come to the end of my story, if my mind is aware as the lights go out and the curtain begins to fall, will I not feel the same? What would I give for 1 second more to hold fast in the living world and ponder the stimuli of my 5 senses? Each and every day I am grateful to be alive and living as she would want me to be. We often overlook the fact that in actuality, nothing in life is ordinary. In truth, everything is extraordinary through the lens of a limited human lifespan. When the vast majority of eternity will be spent non-living on this physical plane, and we have such a condensed frame of time to use our aforementioned 5 senses to subjectively create and interpret the meaning of our lives, then all moments of life are equally meaningful. Even if your religious beliefs allow you to believe in the possibility of an afterlife, as I do, and even if that afterlife is eternal bliss, this life on this earth is still cut out and set apart for its skating rink of contingency, its human frailty, and the courage it takes to fight for and etch out a fulfilling life. There is beauty in this human struggle. All moments of life are sacred, so let's compose before we decompose. As Dave Matthews would say, as exemplified in the song Spoon from the album Before These Crowded Streets, don't burn the day. Don't burn the day away. As Roy Batty, that peak of masculine replicancy, said in Blade Runner, I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I watched C-beams glitter in the dark near the Tannhauser Gate. All these moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain. Thank you, dear friends, for allowing the Aaron Lincoln Smith podcast to serve as your glittering sea beams in the dark before this podcast is lost in time, like so many tears in rain. My friend Richard Hall, who doesn't actually know that he's my friend yet, once told me specifically through the radio in a message that was not specifically addressed to me, we are all made of stars. So let your light shine. Burn out supernova before your flame is extinguished so that your life can be seen for light years after you're gone. I never met my maternal grandfather. His life was cut short from the injuries he took in the Second World War, and he passed before my consciousness entered this world. But I do know him. His presence looms over my life like a guardian angel. When I wade through the depths of my years, I see and feel the ripples of his life all around me. That is the life I aspire to. That's the life I wish to ascend to. It is the echo in eternity mentioned by Russell Crowe in Gladiator. My grandfather was a veteran. He owned a small gas station and lived above it with my mother and grandmother. He was a school bus driver. Like life, like all of us, he was both ordinary and yet extraordinary. A miracle. Common and yet unrepeatable. Made of stars. A coach would call him a star in his role. Be a star in your role. If the Marvel Cinematic Universe has taught us two things, it is that most superheroes do not, in fact, wear capes, and that Paul Rudd is as timeless as Kirsten Dunst in the movie Interview with the Vampire. Throughout our species, the work of the vast majority of the most important people has only been known by the select few acquaintances privileged enough to have known them firsthand. Fame and fortune give the false narrative of primary importance. And yet the rich and poor, famous and non-famous alike, we all stand in the same line waiting on the same end to enter into that holy sepulcher. A date with the soft dive of oblivion, so how's it going to be? You see what I did there? Thank you, Third Eye Blind. When the social media filters can't cover up your existential dilemmas and the influencers that tell you what to care about don't know you anymore. What will be your thanatopsis when you can no longer dodge the reality of your own mortality by keeping yourself busy? Thank you, William Cullen Bryant and Stephen Jenkins. As motorcycles drive by, remember that we are all important. What do you share with Beyonce and Jay-Z? It's definitely not the talent or the money. It's the humanity. It's the mortality. Better shake that dirt off your shoulders and take joy in the fact that the world ain't never seen a booty like yours. Everything matters. You matter. We are all made of stars. Let me sum up that segment with the immortal words of Ric Flair. Woo! Hopefully those words of inspiration were some sweet chin music to knock the dark part of your day to the mat for a 10 count. After all that nonsense, you are probably wondering what you have gotten yourself into and whether or not to turn off this podcast. Or maybe you even feel inclined to fast forward as you are a die-hard Aaron Lincoln Smith fan and you just want to get to the music. I see you, Randy from Pensacola. I see you. And I promise you that I will get our deep dive of My Pure Motives. I will get to that shortly. My Pure Motives, copyright 2022, Aaron Lincoln Smith, all rights reserved, available on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, or wherever you stream your music. Please listen, like, follow, subscribe, and share. Let me wrap up this segment of inspiration with this. Embrace the challenge. All of life is struggle and requires courage to overcome. Find your inner Liu Kang and fight in this Mortal Kombat. Don't worry about being good. What is good anyway? Good is an entirely subjective valuation. In my case, good has nothing to do with me. Look around, people. Anyone in this day and age can produce and release music and podcasts. Whether I'm good enough is irrelevant. Whether you are good enough is irrelevant. Stop looking to the left. Stop looking to the right. You don't need to cha-cha real smooth. Keep your eyes on the path in front of you. Be the best version of yourself. Comparison destroys the happiness and fulfillment that surrounds you. The ancient Hebrews believed that the creator of the universe, God, i.e. the person who they believed to have created all things and to know the purpose of all things, thought this lesson important enough to serve as the bookend to arguably the 10 most important rules in all of Western civilization. Run your race. Do things that only you can do and be quick about it because you don't have forever. The best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. The second best time is today. Each and every day, be a little bit better than you were the day before. The Buddha said, live life as if your head is on fire. A sense of urgency requires an understanding of the finite aspect of life. Don't overthink. Do. Take action. Don't compare yourself to others because we are all different and we have all different starting places in life. Don't worry about what others think because you cannot control what other people think. Live with the clarity and sense of urgency that an understanding of your own mortality demands. Speaking of urgency, you know what you urgently need to hear? The next 30 seconds of My Pure Motives back after this clip and a word from our sponsors.
Is this my time to fall in love? Will you be there when I wake up and whisper lies into my ears until the truth just disappears and we both know that we belong? This night goes on and on and on.
Welcome back to the Aaron Lincoln Smith podcast. I am your host, Aaron Lincoln Smith, and I must confess that I have no sponsors. I just said that leading into the break because I thought it sounded professional. Fake it till you make it, people. Please don't fault a man for getting caught up in the moment. Speaking of getting caught up in the moment, we now begin our deep dive into my original song for this month, My Pure Motives. To get into my state of mind when I wrote this song, I must set the table, so to speak, by peering into the pop cultural landscape of the time. It was 19 years ago, and I had just turned 20. The time was summer of 2003. There was no streaming music at this time. The people of this ancient land listened to the radio or walked around with a personal CD player that actually had to be held in their hands because it was too big for pockets. There was no such thing as skinny jeans, so pockets would have actually been intended by manufacturers for actual use. There were no iPods, iPhones, or iPads. Forget about running with a CD player because every stride on the pavement would cause your CD to skip valuable seconds of your favorite songs. Some popular songs of the day on the radio were In the Club by 50 Cent, otherwise known as the thick dude hanging upside down at the Super Bowl halftime show. Picture by Kid Rock and Sheryl Crow, which might be the best Kid Rock song ever if it even counts as a Kid Rock song, as he is not pretending to be a caricature of himself. There was the song The Remedy, I Won't Worry by Jason Mraz. Whatever happened to that guy, by the way? He had a great debut album and a very unique voice. Other notable hits of that year included Where Is the Love by the Black Eyed Peas and Your Body is a Wonderland by John Mayer, a song which seemed very thirsty at the time and still does, but one that I will forgive as 3 years later, John, I'm referring to him by his first name as if I know him personally, hysterical, would release one of my favorite albums of all time, Continuum, which featured such classics as Waiting on the World to Change, Vultures, Heart of Life, and perhaps the greatest John Mayer song of all time, Slow Dancing in a Burning Room. What a metaphor for a doomed relationship, and I wish I had come up with that line first, which is probably the greatest compliment I can give. As an aside, I bought that album in a Deo Deo in Yanai City, Yamaguchi Prefecture, Japan. Those of you that know. The movies of the day are almost too many to list. It was an embarrassment of riches. Kill Bill Volume 1, which I would go on to see months later on Christmas Day in Yamaguchi City, Yamaguchi Prefecture, Japan, with my fellow Center College exchange students. The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, which I oddly enough did not see until it came out on DVD. Big Fish, that my lovely and beyond charismatically talented fraternity brother Strother gave me for a Christmas present. Man, I miss that guy. Strother, if you are listening to this, I miss you. I love you. Holler at your boy. We need to catch up. And you were right. Big Fish did make me cry multiple times. The Gift That Keeps on Giving, a DVD copy of a melodramatic film. Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, which, unlike Johnny Depp or Amber Heard, this movie did not poop the bed. Love Actually, which reminds me that all I want for Christmas is to not hear that song every hour. It's a good song. Don't get me wrong. I love you, Mariah. Just not every hour. X2, X-Men United. Hugh Jackman is dreamy, as usual, and Harry, but mostly dreamy because he's not quite Robin Williams Harry. I purchased a copy of that DVD in Japan as an exchange student, and to this day, when adjusted for inflation and the exchange rate, it is still the most expensive DVD I've ever purchased. It was approximately 1 metric crap ton of yen. And let us not forget The Last Samurai, which is an excellent film, aside from the fact that it is essentially a copy of Dances with Wolves set in Japan. Since the statute of limitations is up, I may as well confess that I stole a humongous Last Samurai poster from a movie theater in Yamaguchi City, Yamaguchi Prefecture, Japan, and that poster still hangs in the Kokan Yugakse room to this day at Yamaguchi Kenritsu Daigaku. In summer of 2003, I had just wrapped up my freshman year at Centre College, and I was working for the Kentucky Governor Scholars Program at Northern Kentucky University, which was a mere 10 minutes away from Cincinnati, Ohio. Back then, you could buy $5 tickets to Reds games. The Cincinnati Reds went 69-93 that year, more like a big red contraption than a big red machine. There was no social media. There was no streaming music or content. YouTube had not yet been invented. I did not even own a cell phone, and yet somehow I managed to survive and not get stranded on the side of the highway. Most days after work, I would come back to my dorm room to my Martin HD-28 and sit for hours plucking away at the guitar, refining lyrics, composing songs that would lie dormant for years while my roommate and friends quickly consumed their dinner at the cafeteria. This 30 minutes to an hour of private time was my therapy. Although I can be loud and obnoxious, at heart I am actually quite introverted and thoughtful. I am good at being outgoing, such as on this podcast or in front of my students in my classroom or if I am on a stage performing, but this requires tremendous mental stamina and energy on my part, and I need time to recover. I have always enjoyed my alone time to reflect on the importance of events in my life. In fact, I probably think and daydream a bit too much. Actually, you know what? Forget that. You and I can and should daydream all we want, audience, to envision our dreams, to sharpen our successes, and to exercise our creative muscles. That summer, there were many events to dissect and contemplate what could be said of my freshman year of college. When I left high school, I had held out hope that I would hit my relationship stride and find the person on this earth just for me. By the way, as I talk about my history with relationships and the love of my life, different strokes for different folks, your mileage may vary. This is about my life. Perhaps you can relate. Perhaps there are some lessons that can be learned that are also applicable to your life as well. I am not judging. I am not saying one thing is better than the other. I am only speaking and commenting on my personal experience. So again, when I left high school, I had held out hope that I would hit my relationship stride and find the person on this earth just for me. Can you blame me? To be human is to be bound by this basic evolutionary desire. Whether love is metaphysics or biology, we all desire to propagate the species to spread our selfish genes. Over time, the best artists among us have framed our basic human need for love and companionship in language that has provided depth and meaning to our human experience. Any John Donne fans in the room? Just me? Go read The Broken Heart and tell me you're not a fan after that. Do it. Now, I'll wait. Broken Heart, John Donne. At the time, I was hopelessly enthralled with the prospect of romance, tempered by my teenage years of watching romantic comedies like Sabrina or My Best Friend's Wedding by myself. Okay, please don't judge me, all right? Everybody's different. I'm trying to be honest here. Also, why did my parents let me do that? My grandmother dropped me off at the movies by myself to see My Best Friend's Wedding at the Corydon Cinemas in Indiana. Did she not think that was odd? That seems like a movie a grandmother would enjoy anyway. She didn't have anything better to do that day. Why did she leave me? Did she actually love me? I need more time to process this. Why did 14-year-old me not think attending that movie by myself was odd? I guess when you're still making hyperdrive noises to simulate the jump to light speed with your Star Wars Power of the Force Millennium Falcon, you lose your frame of reference for what is abnormal behavior. And since I didn't have the luxury of social media to pummel me into behavioral conformity at that time, I was making things up on my own. Anyway, 20-year-old me in 2003. Although hopeful, in the words of Steven Tyler, I was jaded. In high school, I had been in a 12-month relationship with a girl that had truly become my friend. Our love was comfortable, like a distressed Goodfellow and Company sweatshirt from Target. I think that's how you pronounce it. Is it Goodfellow and Co. or Goodfellow and Company? I'm going to have to look this up after this podcast. But through my immaturity, my inability to articulate my feelings, which were very complex at the time, I managed to break her heart and cruelly demolish any prospect we would ever have for a friendship. At that time, I wrote a song that I only ever let my friend Corey listen to. The chorus was as follows: growing up is painful, and I'm sad you had to be the casualty, but when everything's been said, I still miss my friend. Internally, I was full-on emo, but externally, I lacked the black nail polish. All I wanted at this time was to find a person that was as naive as me, I guess. By naive, I mean someone that was not yet beaten low by life, someone that was stubborn and maybe a little bit ignorant, maybe someone that was a little bit cracked, like I was, but not yet broken. Someone that was willing to plan her life with me together and let our love and relationship determine the path. If we got the love right, all the other important stuff like our careers would fall into place and we would be happy. To paraphrase Joe Dirt, stuff would buff out. This mindset made the assumption that it wouldn't be any big deal to fall in love at 20 and make it last a lifetime. Ha! I guess my belief was that if I could find someone that I truly loved and she loved me back, that everything else would fall into place. If the love was pure and true and meant to be, then we could make it work. And to a certain extent, that actually has been the case in my life and my relationship with my wife. That actually rhymed. It's totally unintentional. And thusly, we arrive at the summer of 2003. I was fragile and angsty, but I was not quite defeated. There was still a glimmer of hope, and that window of hope is what I was seeking to capture in the lyrics of My Pure Motives. The song is based on the following concept. I am going to use the terms man and woman here, but feel free to substitute pronouns as you see fit to make this song applicable to your situation. I am not going to read the lyrics in this podcast, but you can find them on the Aaron Lincoln Smith YouTube channel as a part of the My Pure Motives performance. So here we go. In this song, a man meets a woman at a party. The man thinks that she possibly could be the mythical one for him, the person to fall in love and build a life with, but he is fragile and shaken and wary of having his heart broken, as it has been broken so many times. They stay out all night, and the man wonders if this is the moment where he will indeed fall in love, truly fall in love, and if the hyperbolic words and phrases that they have been volleying back and forth at each other throughout the night, such as, I've never met someone like you before, or I never want this night to end, or never going to give you up, never going to let you down, never going to run around and desert you, never going to make you cry, never going to say goodbye, never going to tell a lie and hurt you, that these little lies within these phrases, within these words, could actually dissolve and then be reassembled into the truth over time. At the end of the night, they go back to the woman's room, and the twist is that they actually fall asleep in each other's arms. Actually, like sleep, rather than sleeping with each other. The man is at peace in the woman's arms, though is concerned that alcohol has perhaps caused him to become caught up in the moment, clouding his judgment. In the morning, he realizes that she is indeed as stunning in the light of day as she was under the cover of night, and that he wishes to continue their relationship. Though intrigued by this proposition, the woman brings up the fact that they are potentially too young to really commit to this position, at which point the man confesses to her that his motives are pure and true. His motives are pure and true. That he wants to take the time to know her for who she truly is and to fall in love with her. And that after the night that they have spent together, that he is infatuated with her and her alone. The audience is left to ponder the ambiguity of the ending and the potential response of the woman. This song helped me deal with the emotions and feelings that I was working out in the world around me at the time. It captured the excitement of meeting someone new for the first time and that moment hanging in the air when there is still that nervous potential that this person could turn into one of the main characters in the story of your life. It channeled my disappointment, my emptiness, and my pain with college-age binge drinking hookup culture, and set my sights on the proper ideals, which eventually led to my current state of marital happiness and life satisfaction, finding a person, getting to know them, committing to love them through all the hardships of life, drawing a line in the sand and saying, I'm not going anywhere anymore. I'm not looking anywhere else. I'm not running away. I want to see and know the real you over time with all of your imperfections, your faults, your virtues, your triumphs, and I choose to love you. I want you to show me all those pictures in that shoebox of when you were in elementary school. I want to see your awkward phase of middle school before you cashed in your glasses for contacts. I choose to stay no matter what we face, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. I will love you forever, no matter how long forever lasts. It is only under the umbrella of this commitment, which I found in my life, where true and real love can reach its potential and flourish. I will love you forever, no matter how long forever lasts. You know, I actually stole that last line from a conversation at the end of a mid-90s Detective Comics issue between Commissioner Gordon and Sarah Essen. You're welcome. Human beings are dynamic creatures. Rest assured that you and your significant other will change. There will be times of stress where you will fight tooth and nail to bend and not break. There is honor and there is glory in the struggle. And in the end, there is confidence in knowing that you did it for that glory, that you did it all for the glory of love. Just ask Peter Cetera or Daniel LaRusso. Although his romance with Kumiko did not last, so maybe that's not the best example. Actually, definitely not the best example, since the Karate Kid Part 2 is kind of offensive in that all the Japanese characters speak broken English instead of what would actually happen, where they would speak Japanese and then Daniel-san would have to make sense of his environment and learn Japanese. That movie makes no sense. It's kind of offensive, actually. I'm teetering on the edge of a rant here, but in real life, you know how it is. Daniel-san would be speaking his broken Japanese and would seem like the Yomikaki ga dekinai yabanjin that he is. Look it up. Anyway, back to Kumiko. She is still a fox, by the way, setting the example for us all, aging like a fine wine, and saving Tomi Village and Larusa Otto in the process. Cobra Kai never dies. To return to the concept of unconditional love towards those around us, whether friends or lovers, perhaps Alice in Chains summed it up best in the song No Excuses. You, my friend, I will defend, and if we change, well, I love you anyway. True love means dynamically loving a dynamic person. Maybe you are fully happy and fulfilled living the single life. It is no less true that your friends and family should love you as you change throughout life, and you should love them as well. Or maybe right now you yourself are broken. Maybe you had someone you thought you would be with forever and you were betrayed. Maybe you have not yet found your great love and you are worried it's never going to happen. Don't give up. If you are looking for love, it does not matter when you find love, because when you do, it will have made all of those bumps and bruises along the way worth it. Tom Cruise is a true movie star. He has a lot of great lines, but perhaps the best is from Vanilla Sky as the character David Ames. Every passing minute is another chance to turn it all around. This song, My Pure Motives, was my prayer to turn it all around. It's my belief in the power of the moment, that every second we have a chance to do something or find someone that will redefine our life story. If you can't relate to that, maybe you can simply relate to the recognition of the excitement found in the moment of potential that this song tries to capture. Over the years, I have refined the lyrics and the melody to this song. Originally, the second chorus was also the first, but something wasn't right. The song didn't flow well enough. Although this song is more of a narrative and the words do not repeat, there wasn't the kind of catchiness to it that I had hoped to achieve originally. I came up with chorus 1, the night goes on and on and on, we dance till it breaks dawn, some years ago, driving into the horizon on I-265 North, or as us Locals in Louisville, Kentucky call it the Snyder. Never stop grinding. It's funny how art imitates life, because when I finally found the woman that would become the great love of my life, my wife, less than a year after I had penned the song, I actually met her at a party, and our experience closely reflected the plot of this song, Of My Pure Motives. Were my lyrics prophetic? Did I project my wife into reality? Did this song become a subconscious blueprint for my ideal relationship? Was our meeting at that party fate? Was it destiny? Or did we build destiny with our choices? Or was it a combination of everything? Do we all build destiny each and every day with our choices? Do you want to know why people still read Shakespeare? Do you want to know why my freshmen, when they read Romeo and Juliet, after they grasp the concepts and the themes and the plot points, why they're enthralled by it and it leads to intense discussion in an English classroom? Because it tackles the question that we all grapple with throughout life. How much are our lives determined, and how much of our lives are we determined to control? On a phone call in summer 2003, before I even wrote My Pure Motives, before I met my wife, I was speaking with my freshman year roommate, fellow Led Zeppelin aficionado, pepper pot vodka collector, world traveler, and amateur professional wrestler, Mike D. I borrowed my mother's plastic brick of a cell phone and walked down the street where I'd grown up in the Kentucky summer evening, fireflies aglow, the sticky humidity sucking the life-giving water from my brows. Our conversation drifted towards women, drifted towards relationships, as we were young men, and such things consume the thoughts of young men. You know, Mike D, I've just got this feeling that everything's going to be okay. Like in the next year, I'm not going to be alone anymore. I'm going to find someone. It's going to buff out. Everything's going to be all right. He reminded me of this conversation after I had met and been with my wife for quite some time. And the two of us smiled like only we knew the punchline to an inside joke. And that, my friends, is what it means to live with a sense of urgency. Don't let Stephen Jenkins and a bunch of hippies in the desert be the only ones that know what it means to live life like a Burning Man. Are you not entertained by my ability to seamlessly weave allusions to pop culture and Stephen Jenkins into this podcast? I mean, that's like 2 references to Stephen Jenkins, and they actually make sense and completely fit in this podcast. Look it up. I mean, that's impressive, people. That's impressive. Keep your hope, embrace the power of every moment. Do not give up, live your best life, and all those other cliches that might seem tired, but are nonetheless the truth. And on that note, we have reached the end of the Aaron Lincoln Smith Podcast, Episode 1. I am Aaron Lincoln Smith, and I look forward to proving to you that I am as good as I think I am. Not convinced? You're just going to have to keep listening each month to find out. Check out my song, My Pure Motives, on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, or wherever you stream your music. Check out the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast. And don't forget to listen, like, follow, subscribe, and share. Once again, I am Aaron Lincoln Smith, and I hope you dig what I am trying to do. But even if you don't, that's okay. I still love you, and we can be friends. Sayonara and o genki de. Mata yoroshiku onegai itashimashou. Yes.